Hello, hello, and welcome to New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me throughout the year and starting off fresh. JR, thanks for joining me live tonight. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great.
We have some new members. Just want to welcome Jerry Williams. Now, Jerry Williams, we have two Jerry Williams now in the as far as the members are concerned. So there's a Jerry O. Williams, and then there's a Jerry Williams. So that's going to be fun. Uh, we'll see if we try not to confuse the two of you and everything. But Jerry, thanks for being a new silver member and joining us. I appreciate that. And he was prompt and on time. He was the first one to enter the chat. Hey, Ronnie, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. Hope you had a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. You doing
Can you
all?
hear me okay?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
I can hear it. Yep, just fine. It's been an exciting, kind of holiday break for me. Had to wait till the last minute, but I have a, that new building is completely packed with stuff and everything, and I was like, man, what am I going to do with this? So I waited to the last minute instead of like weeks ago, coming up with the idea. I just thought of it a few days ago, and it'll be delivered tomorrow. But I have a storage pod being delivered, 16 foot by 8 foot by 8 foot pod. So all the stuff can come out of the building and get stored into that while I set up the new shop. So that's going to be, it's been a year. I've had that building, the new building that was supposed to be a shop, a year, and I've not been able to use it at all. I've just been paying on it. So it's been a glorified storage shed, completely packed wall to wall with just machines and junk, and just like you got to crawl over everything. So I thought, man, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Coming tomorrow. Oop, my internet is a little weak. We have a pod coming tomorrow, and we'll start working on the new shop so I can start filming out in the shop. That's going to be interesting and everything. So a little late, but better late than never. So I was hoping to have all that done before the new year, but that didn't happen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we may have some brief little glitches tonight. Santa didn't bring me a new computer for Christmas, so we're still dealing with my old one. But my other computer that I used to use is a backup server. I have a few hotspots running now, but my other computer that I used as the streamer. Of course, Mother Nature killed it last week, and I just been too busy to run out and go get a new one, a new laptop. So if I blank out, just like we did just a few seconds ago, if I go black or something like that, bear with me. It'll pop back in these hotspots. So they're dividing the stream amongst themselves, and we'll see what happens. Tonight we are going to be working on a few simple projects. If any of you follow me on Facebook, like my actual personal profile on Facebook, you'll know that the last few posts I've been doing have been relating around food and baking and everything. And I've kind of reignited my passion over the holidays when cooking for the holidays and everything. I kind of reignited my passion for the kitchen and just, enjoy cooking and baking and all. And so what I'd like to do is throughout time, I'd like to create projects, not all the time, but spread it out. But I'd like to create some projects that kitchen accessory projects and everything. And I think tonight's project will be a simple, fun, easy one. But we're going to be one of the items that we're going to be designing and making tonight is a bread cutter, and we're going to make a bread cutting board, different trivet style bread cutting board with a crumb tray and stuff, or crumb deposit. And this is one of my go-to tools. I want to, in this version tonight, change it up just a little bit. The handle design is great if I was sawing like a Subway bun, you know, like a French bread, sawing it down lengthwise where the cutting blade is coming along this way. This handle is ideal. The positioning is like a knife handle, right? But when I am cutting actual slices, and this is a right-handed, there is right and left-handed. The blade's flipped for left-handed ones, but this I'm left-handed, by the way, so this is awkward for me. The other person in my household is right-handed, and they switched it over, and of course I didn't realize that until the last minute. But when I'm holding it to slice like loaves, you know, like that we bake, slice actual slices off of it, this handle design is a bit weird. Now, of course, this blade right here would actually be facing the other way for me, so my fingers would actually fall on there cutting like this, but it's just awkward. It's not. It's this handle was never a good design for me. It's meant to be kind of like a knife, you know, upward, but that's not how it works. It cuts on its side. And so I want to change up the handle a little bit tonight to make it just a little bit more comfortable for left or right-handed. And again, the blade being flipped 180 degrees changes it from a left hand to a right hand, you know, kind of deal. But so we're going to work on that in our little crumb tray and have a little fun. And it's just going to be kind of a getting started for anyone, for, you know, the folks that are new with Vectric and all. It'll be fun. And the folks that are old with Vectric, you know, these things sell. They sell really well. And for me anyway, at the craft fairs and stuff. And I've never really paid too much attention. This is, you know, my design here. I never really paid a lot of attention to it. I just did it. I just cut with it, you know, and my fingers always fell right into that groove when I'm cutting, and my thumb, you know, was always on the side when I'm cutting everything. I never really paid attention to how it is really awkward. It's really awkward, the handle design. And so for everyone that bought my knives, I'm sorry. But anyhow, the let's get started. Let's get over to the Vectric software. Now, everything that I'm going to be doing is VCarve Pro, and VCarve Desktop and Vectric Aspire. Everything can be done in all three programs. Nothing fancy. Now, I will say this. On this design here, yes, the CNC can go through and cut these out all day long, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to design the template. You can cut the template out of acrylic. You can cut it out of Masonite. You can cut it out of, you know, 1/4-inch plywood, whatever you want, MDF. And it's so much faster if we stick the template on, you know, a piece of material that's kind of cut somewhat down to size. We could run it through a bandsaw if we wanted to trim off some of the edges, and then flush trim, router bit it on the router table to make these, to knock out hundreds of these. Scrap wood projects, you can glue up any scrap wood that looks good, and you know, so there's no scrap in the shop. You could also glue up a board and cut a bunch of them out on the CNC, but this is one of those projects where, man, you could batch. If you make the template for it, let your CNC make the templates with the cool handles and all that fun stuff and everything, and then just batch this out on a router table with a flush trim bit. Holy cow, you can really knock out some. And we'll use a nice 1/8-inch round over to round over the edges to make it a little bit, you know, softer on the handle. But again, we'll change up the handle design and things like that. So tonight we'll make the design like it's cutting out of a piece of wood, but we're also understand you can carve that same tool path on some template material, acrylic, not plexiglass, you know, like a cast acrylic 1/4-inch or a piece of 1/4-inch plywood or MDF. something that's got nice smooth edges because we're going to have our bearing running on it, and for a flush trim bit, and we wouldn't want we don't want rough edges and all that stuff. So makes sense. Cool. Okay, let me see if I can find out anybody's got. Let me see what's happening in the chat. And just a real quick shout out to everybody. Rod Walleen, good to see you. Happy New Year. Roger S. Doug Fushi, good to see you. And of course, like I said, joining me tonight is Ronnie and JR. And then we have Ronnie, you're Farrier, right? So Ron Bishop, Happy New Year. Sorry, I didn't leave you out. Didn't mean to leave you out. And Dave Heineke, welcome. Happy New Year. Small crowd, but good crowd. I want you to know for 2025, I'm going to try to be a little bit more consistent with the videos. We're going to be splitting up the videos a little bit from software, Vectric, blah, 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 to like actual in the shop. Our next project is going to, and again, kitchen project, but we're going to be making a bread box with a tambour door. And making the tambour door and the the slats and stuff. This will be something. It's going to have the bread box is going to have a up top. It's going to have a knife drawer. Could put knives in there or whatever, or knives could get stored on the side. Tambour door, and then at the bottom there's going to be a breadboard that pulls out, and where you can cut your loaves and all that stuff right there just by pulling the bread out of the bread box and onto the cutting board. And then, of course, the crumb tray comes out of that. So we're going to make that project and the tambour door and the tambour system on all kinds of cool stuff, whether it be entertainment centers or cabinets or what have you. I love the tambour doors, and so we'll talk about that next week and stuff like that. All right, everybody, let's see if we can get on going. JR, Ronnie, we'll see you in just a moment. All right, let's see here. We need to find my thought I had my hope I didn't. Let's see. I'm wondering if let me see if just let me see this. Sorry, we're waiting for us. Where's my string key? Down in the bottom corner here. And I believe I can fly. Let's make sure that that's going on. Let me close a couple things. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so Ronnie and everybody, someone give me a shout out. Is my screen full and then me in the corner? Is that what y'all are seeing? Full screen?
Yeah.
The cameras right now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, wonderful. All right, awesome. Okay, good. All right, so with tonight's project, we're going to start off.
Sorry to interrupt, but you might want to get
start off.
rid of JR and
both.
myself.
Where are you still?
We're still in the
JR
picture.
and we're still in the backstage view, so they want to just enlarge your screen.
Oh, hold on. Yep, sorry. Yeah,
There we
you
go.
are. Ah, hold on. Screen sharing. There we go.
More
We
you
should
know.
be. Let's get out of that infinity mirror. Wait for a minute for that infinity to go away. How are we now?
Looking good.
Are we good? Okay. All right. The bread/cutting board /trivet /crumb tray, whatever. I don't know. I'm going to call it a bread cutting board. It is going to be 15 inches in length, 9.5 inches wide, and I'm going to go 3/4 thick, but you could go 1 inch or what have you. But I'm going to set the board up for an 18 by 10. I'll end up, cutting the shape out and everything. So we're going to set up a single-sided job for this. We're going to go 18 by 10 by 3/4. And I will touch off on the material surface. And then you can start anywhere you want. I'll just start in the bottom left corner. So we'll go ahead and click OK on that setup. And while we're here, I'm going to go into sheets and I'm going to add in another sheet, which is going to be my tray insert. Let's call it just an insert. We'll call this one the breadboard. Breadboard. There we go. We'll call it a breadboard. There we go. That'll work. I don't know why I'm stumbling on simple words tonight. Breadboard. All right. So the insert now is going to be, it's going to be thin. You're probably going to be around 1/4 inch in thickness, maybe 0.3 inches thick, but you're going to be 12 inches by 7.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this up for a 13 by 8 for right now. And on our 3/4 inch breadboard, there's going to be a pocket cut in the middle. And this insert is going to be like a grate, if you will, right? We're going to do different, patterns and all, so that when you're cutting, the crumbs will fall through and they'll fall down into the bottom of this pocket on the main cutting board, the breadboard. And so the grate, if you will, the insert is going to be, we're probably going to go like a 1/2 inch deep with the pocket, 0.5 inches deep with the pocket. And so the grate is actually going to be elevated up slightly. So there's space between the grate and the bottom of the pocket, so that crumbs can fall down and get caught in this like little area here. So what we're going to end up doing is we'll go probably 0.3. Crumbs aren't that big, so we'll go 0.3 inches on the thickness. What I can say is when you see these great cutouts and everything is glue yourself up, make your panels and all that you would be cutting these inserts and stuff out of, 3/8 inch thick. You can even go 1/2 inch thick. Don't want to waste too much wood, but you can always mill down in surface to height, surface to thickness before you cut out the actual parts, right? Or you can glue up, if you have band saws or anything like that where you can resaw and run through planers and all that stuff, wonderful. If you don't, if all you have is a CNC machine, work with what you've got. Hopefully, maybe you have a planer, maybe you don't. Use your CNC as a planer, and just do the best you can. Just know that we need to get down to about just under 3/8 of an inch thick for our tray, our insert. So we'll keep it at 0.3. Now we're going to create another sheet here, and this is going to be our cutter, bread cutter, and the bread cutter overall is roughly about 17 inches. So I'm just going to set this up for 18 again. It is at its widest points. It's only 2 inches wide. Let's make that 3 for right now. And the thickness again is going to be 3/4. So we'll go 0.75. Now, the 3/4, like I said, we're setting this up as if we were cutting it out of a board, but if we were cutting this out of a template, like that we would use for, like I said, the flush trim bit and all that stuff, then you're going to change the cut depth, of course, on the profile cut that we end up creating, and then change your job setup to whatever thickness the material is you plan on using. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, they sell bread cutter templates on Etsy and things like that. The template runs between $15 to $19 for that piece of acrylic that looks like that knife, right? And that's not counting the blades and all that good stuff and everything. Speaking of blades, let's take just a quick second and let me see if I can get another Chrome window popped up here. Oh, sorry about the infinity mirror. And let's go to the bookmarks, other bookmarks, Build It TV. Come down here. These are the blades, the replacement blades for the knives, for the bread cutters. And you can get them in a 6-pack or a 12-pack. They do come with the screws, stainless steel screws and everything. The blade overall from end to end is 10.8 inches, like close to 10 7/8. But the hole placement, center hole to center hole, is 10.3 inches. Excuse me, I have the hiccups for some reason, but 10.3 inches. And so you'll see there, if we look here, the 0.4 inches, just under a 1/2 inch wide on the blade, but 10.3 is center to center in the hole, 10.8. And this is a 6-pack. You can get them in 12 packs too and everything like that. But these run around $12.99. And so they're just a couple of dollars, with the hardware and everything like that. So that all goes into your price. And when it comes to bread cutters, when we're looking at bread cutters and everything, they can range. Amazon sells them for $23.99. Some dude here, I think this has got to be a 2-piece set, probably most likely a 2-piece set, but he's running out. He's at $44 for a walnut right-handed. Okay, leave us left-handers out of there. But anyway, it's just a matter of switching the blade around. But $44 from Ballerina Farm, right? Way to go, Ballerina Farm. And then on the cheaper end, Walmart, right? $11.99, $11.19. So these are something that that are out there, right? Yeah, but it's also something that you could sell if you're looking for just some very quick and simple projects to take to the craft shows to add to your inventory, all that happy jazz. Okay. All right, cool. All right, let's start off with the breadboard and let's make that active. The breadboard itself, we're going to open up the rectangle tool, and the overall length of this is going to be 19. I don't know why I said that. It's going to be 15 inches. It's going to be 9.5 inches wide, and a radius corner, a nice little radius on the corner, does not hurt at all. We'll actually make it look pretty decent. We're going to throw this in the center of the board here. So my center point, so a little tip and trick, anchor point. That's where I want my rectangle to land. And so I got it marked for center. I'm going to take my x-axis and divide that by 2 and hit equals. That's going to give me the center. The software knows how big my x and y and my z are. So if I tell it to take that x-axis and divide it by 2, when I hit equals, it'll do that math for me, right? These are like little calculators. Y divided by 2 equals. So that'll find my center point of this material, and we can go ahead and throw that rectangle on there, right? Now, the insert is going to be 12 inches in length and 7.5 inches on its diameter. So there is that 2-inch. So it's kind of an inch on each side for the left and right. And then on the top and bottom, we're going from that, 1.5 on the sides. I'm going from that 15 inches to 12. So that leaves 3 inches, right? Inch and a half. But I'm only going 2 inches inward on the top and the bottom. And that's going to give us that, 7.5, right? So 1 inch on the top, 1 inch on the bottom and everything. And the insert we'll take this, let's close this. We'll end up taking this vector and we will copy it over, copy to the sheet insert. Now, I've done this a couple of ways, and it's really your choice as to how you want to do it. But that insert has to sit down in here. So we can either create the ledge that when we do our pocket cut, that there'll be 2 ledges on the side that the insert sits on, and it creates kind of an open air gap underneath it. Or you can take, if you're inserting everything, you can also take that and you can glue strips, very thin strips on each end, that when it sits down, and just carve the whole pocket without the step down, where it's just, the full depth 0.5. And then when this insert sits down, those strips keep that insert elevated to where it's flush. But the goal is that we want a flush breadboard when it's done. I've done it both ways. It really just depends on what you want to do. I will say we have a CNC, right? If I was doing this, let's say that I was doing this with a handheld router, right? And I've got this board clamped on the table and I'm routing my pocket. It's easier for me with a handheld router to route the entire pocket. My sled on my base is going to be wide enough to span the gap, and it's just going to be easier for me to make that entire pocket. And then my tray, I would put feet on it, basically, those little strips on each end to elevate the tray, versus trying to change my router height to create that step down on each end, and make sure that they're both even and all that. It's a little more, it's a little easier when I'm using a handheld router to just make the entire pocket. But we have a CNC machine, right? So if we were making these on the CNC machine, we can do that step down with no problem. And then that's going to ensure that, we're going to have a nice, flush surface and all that stuff. So for this, since we are doing it on a CNC and not with a handheld router, we'll create the little step down and everything. And so basically, on that step down pocket, this will be the pocket toolpath, we're just going to offset inward, and we're going to offset inward. Our little ledge on the side really only needs to be about a 1/2 inch. So we'll offset inward 0.5. There's no sharp corners here, so we don't need to create sharp corners. We'll select the new and we'll create that. And from here, as a matter of fact, let me see here. Give me just a second. I want to kind of go right to here. So bear with me. If I did not great with math in my head tonight for some reason, but to get to that node right there, that straight edge, that would be a distance because of my my 3/4 inch radius, 0.65. 0.65. All right. So on my offset, I'm actually going to go 0.65. You'll see why in just a moment. Offset. Where am I at? I'm way up there, way down here. Offset inward 0.65. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring me right to my where this edge right here is right straight across. And so if I grab a line here and run that. Was I off or something? Give me 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Was I off on my measurement? Hold on a minute. Why is it 0.75 like an idiot? Am I thinking wrong? Horizontal from here to here. It's 0.75. I'm an idiot. All right. So we are going to offset inward 0.75. I don't know what I'm thinking tonight. All right, 0.75. And the reason why I want that is I just want a nice straight edge so that when I take this, I'm going to bring this up here like this. And when I trim this to create these two vectors, it will just give me two ledges right here, two pockets that I can just run and everything. So it'll make sense in 2 seconds here. What we're going to do is I'm going to select this and hit copy and paste. We'll just right click and copy, right click and paste. And then I'm going to take the scissors and I'm going to trim this, that, and that. Just a single click so that I am creating this part right here. So if you double click, it'll cut the main vector. If we single click, we just cut the top vector. And when I copied and pasted it, put that top vector on. So now I have these two vectors. I have this one here and this one here, right? So those are going to be the vectors that I use for cutting the pocket in there. So the router bit's going to come in and just cut this little ledge, and then it's going to step down and cut my deeper cut here. All right. The bit is going to come in and cut, and it's only going to cut a certain area. I'm not really worried about what it looks like. This is just going to be a lip for my insert to sit in. Now, my main vector is already been copied over. If we zoom out, it's already been copied over to the insert, and we'll create the pattern for the insert in just a moment. I don't want to jump over here until we're ready, but I do want to center that on the board, and then we'll come back over here. All right, so we're going to have 3 tool paths on this breadboard sheet. The first one is going to be this vector here. It's going to be a pocket cut. I will maintain the smaller radius here, so I'll use an 1/8 inch end mill. If you don't want to change bits, just use the 1/4. It doesn't matter. But I'm coming down to 0.3 inches. That's how thick my insert's going to be. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch end mill, and this is going to be my ledges. 0.125 end mill. And so we're starting at 0, the top of the board. We're cutting down 0.3 with an 1/8 inch end mill, raster cut. Don't need to do a raster cut. Offset. It's going to be faster and just there's no need to cut with the grain or any of that stuff in this instance. So when it comes to like bowls and trays and party dishes and things where we're cutting pockets out, no need to raster. Just do an offset. It'll be a little bit more optimized and a bit quicker cut for you. So let's calculate that. And what we should see is we'll have just the 2 pockets cutting down. Now, we need these 2 ledges to stay here. We can't use this vector. We can't use this vector to do a pocket cut down to our 1/2 inch deep. Otherwise, we're going to be cutting into our ledges. Now, if you want, what we can do is we're going to create a new layer. Not if you want, this is what we're going to do. We're going to add a new layer. This is going to be my main pocket vector. And we're going to take these 3 items. We're going to copy them to that layer. We're going to turn that layer off for just a minute. And on these 2 right here, this will make sense in 2 seconds. I'm going to go into node editing mode, and I'm going to select these nodes, and I'm going to bump them over just a little bit. This is my, is that going to change? Yeah, let's not do that. That's okay. We'll leave it. Never mind. Ignore what I was about to say. I don't want to change my radius. So let's turn that layer off for a minute and turn this on. And all we're doing with this is we're simply going to take our scissors and we're going to trim this excess away and make sure that the layer you're working in is active, meaning it's bold. So that way, when we do trim and things like that, we don't screw up anything. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm actually going to drag this out this way and this way. This way, when I trim these 2 things, it'll be just cleaner, right? Instead of creating what's called duplicates and oops, don't do that. Instead of creating what's called duplicates and things, all we're trying to do is just create a nice straight line. And this is going to be our inside pocket. So with this, we can go ahead and create a pocket toolpath. This is going to be a 1/2 inch deep. I am going to use the 1/8 inch end mill for the inside corners, but I'm also going to use a 1/4 inch. That will be my bit that's going to cut everything out. So let me find it. And again, it can be an offset. This will be my main pocket. And calculate. Preview that visible toolpath. And let's turn this black color off. I'm not sure. I think that was from my last project. What I was attempting to do with the node editing and moving those vectors was to make this pocket just a little bit bigger. That material would have gotten milled away anyway with the 1/2 inch cut, but making this line a little bit further out without screwing up my radiuses there, just so that there was some overlap on the 2. And that's what was, going to happen. Let's turn that material color off. And what we should see is we have our ledges, if you will, 0.3 inches deep, and then our main pocket that's going to catch all the crumbles and what have you and stuff will be in there. So the grate will just come right out. The insert will just come right out, and all that. Now, right over left or right, I don't care what side you choose, but let's go back to the main board here. I don't care what side you choose, but we need to create a little bit of a thumb hole here to be able to lift the grate out. And just on one side, it doesn't need to be on both sides. It can be whatever shape you want it to be. It can be whatever size you want it to be. We're just creating a small recess kind of for your thumb. Now, with that being said, if you want to use like a, if you want it to have like a rounded profile, kind of a smooth rounded profile instead of just a pocket straight down, you can, you can use bull nose bits, round nose bits, or core box bits for that. I'm not going to go through all of that. I'm just simply going to pocket this. It's going to pocket down to the right just below the 0.3 so that I can actually like lift the grate. Now we don't need it to come all the way out to here, so we can just right about here pick a spot, any spot. It does not have to be anything particular. We're going to trim away the excess here, and there. And then the router bit's already going to kind of create a radius there depending on what bit you're using for that. And I'm going to use the 1/8 inch bit, so it'd be a 16th inch radius. If you want, you could put a fillet on there. 625. You could go ahead and fillet, those two edges. It doesn't matter. The router bit's going to do that anyways when we do that pocket cut. Now, some people might like the look of a smooth curved scoop going down there. We could accomplish that with like a 3D cut. We could use from our clip art a dome or dish to put in there to create that sweep. Really, if you're batching these out and everything, it makes no sense to turn a project that's only a few minutes into a project that's a half hour or whatever, just because you're trying to do a little 3D pocket here and all. So we're just going to pocket straight down. So it's going to be a pocket toolpath. We're going to go 0.375, 0.3. You can go 3.8, 0.4, whatever you want. 0.3. I'll just go. Why is my numbers not typing? Let's try that again. 3.8. We're going to use just the 1/8 inch end mill. This is going to be my thumb hole. 0.125 end mill. Now, this is going to cut down just below the 0.3 inch deep lip. By that, small amount is in here. All you're doing is it just gives you a little bit of a grab hold so you can get, up under and all. And you can go the full 0.5 if you want. Again, it's just a little finger hold just to make it easier to get the tray out, make it quick and simple and all that stuff. Okay, now the final cutout And then just real quick, the organize, we're going to put these two 1/8" bits together. Doesn't matter, you know, we can do the ledges first or the thumbnail first, thumb hole first, your choice. But the two 1/8" bits are going to be together, and then the 2/4" bits will be together. So that way is minimize the tool change. But this 1/8" bit will go up there too. Okay, so profile cut. You have room here on the ends for clamps. So if you're two-side taping this, hot gluing it, CA glue and tape, you know, for your hold down, that's one thing. If you're doing clamps, you might want to add a couple of tabs, 2 tabs on each end. For the first preview, I'm not going to add tabs, but then we'll come back and put a couple tabs in because we can. And the thing about it is most likely you will probably end up doing a round over on the bottom side with a, you know, router table if you've got one or something like that, with a little round over bit to break off the edges and all, and that would trim away the little tabs and stuff if you so chose. We are going to do a profile cut, cutting all the way through the material. So Z equals, or you can just type in the number, it doesn't matter. But it knows, again, it knows what your Z axis is. So Z equals 0.75. We're going to use a 1/4" end mill. We're going to cut on the outside of the line. Again, I'll put passes, I'll put tabs in. They're going to end up being an 1/8" thick, a 1/4" wide. Phones are going crazy tonight. And it would just be a tab here and here, here and here. Again, just on the ends. But we're going to turn them off for right now. This is going to be our profile cutout. .25 in the mill. Take the time this year. It's a brand new year, brand new you, right? So take the time when you're creating your tool pass. Don't skip past giving it a name, so that way you know, you're not using the generic names that are created and making a confusing situation for yourself. Start the year fresh. Make it your New Year's resolution to clean up your files and organize your all kinds of your workload. All right, let's calculate that. And we will preview this. All right, and then we'll double click on that. And this is going to be our very simple breadboard. And the insert we'll work on in just a second. Next, that's going to be next. The insert for this, but this is going to be it. Now, these things can they can be long and narrow. Like if you want a custom breadboard for French bread, right? Long French bread. If you want, you know, for your artisan bread, for whatever, right? For your rolls, or just, you know, just for bread, right? Whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. They can come in all different shapes and sizes. This could be larger, it could be smaller, but this 15 by 9.5 is a good average size for most loaves and stuff. And it's easy to do. You could, without really gluing up panels, a 1x10 board, right? You know, you can make these 1x10, whatever, you know, whatever wood you want to use. You can also glue up and make them decorative with the different, like, you know, species, walnut, cherry, maple, blah, 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 all kinds of different things you could do, but very simple project. Nice little round over on the top and bottom edge to break the surface, a little 1/8" round over. Not going to do the round over on the CNC because I don't want to turn this into a two-sided project where you have to flip it over and all that stuff. I'm going to spend $90 on a palm router, you know, and it'll pay for itself after the first 5 uses. right? So that's what, if I don't have a router table. So that's our board. So now let's go over to our sheets and switch over to the insert. Now the insert we can have some fun with as far as the grill, the grate, the pattern. It can be all kinds of different things and stuff like that. You've seen trivets and all where we have a series of lines, and let me start off. We're going to start off with a single line. Let's go diagonal to diagonal, center to center here. Now, this line, I need to stretch it out. Hold down that shift key and stretch it out a little bit longer, like that. And then I'm going to offset it. We'll start inward first. Now, this line is where the center of your router bit is going to cut. And we don't want the grates too wide. So this would be an ideal for your 1/8 inch bit to cut if you want. I would honestly, for me, it would either be an 1/8 or a 3/16. I mean, a quarter is not really too bad, on the grit and everything. I just don't want big gaps, right? I don't want too big a gaps where, my bread's going to fall through or something crazy like that. So imagine, if you will, that this is let's just go 3/16. So imagine that we have let's go 0.1875 divided by 2 equals, we'll go in both directions and we'll create that. So this 3/16 inch groove, we're going to have this cut, right? Well, now the spacing, we're going to have this, we're only using a single line. I'm just putting the double lines there to show you. But if you think a 3/16 isn't going to give you a big enough slot for your crumbs to fall through down into the tray, go a quarter. That's fine, but don't go any bigger. Don't go any wider than a quarter and all. But 3/16 is going to be fine. And so I'm going to have lots of grates through here. And what I probably would end up doing is I'm either going to have a quarter spacing in between or 3/16 inch spacing. But imagine, if you will, that, let me just do this real quick. Imagine I'll hold down the control key and I'll snatch that right here. So imagine you have this spacing, and then let me grab these 3 again. Our next, down this center line, we have this line with this space in between. That distance, that spacing, that's what we need to offset. So if I'm going center to center on the from one groove that my bit's going to cut to the next groove my bit's going to cut, we're looking at 3/16. So I believe I'm right on that. Let me see here. 0.4. Let me see. 3/16, half of 3/16 is what? What am I? 0.1875 divided by 2 should be 0.0937. What is that? That's 5 30-seconds or 6 30-seconds. What is that? 0.03125 0.03125 times 5 equals, no, 0.03, come on now, Why am I going stupid here, ladies and gentlemen? Hold on a second. 3/16 is my bit width. I'm skipping 3/16. So 3/16, half of it is 0.93 second. So 3/16 is to the second line, center line, and then another 3/16. So that's where that number is coming from. Okay. So let me get rid of all this. Lord of mercy, Laney. Crazy. Offset 0.1875 times 3 equals. We'll offset inward. Give me just dang, Laney. 0.1875 once. Twice. Why am I going stupid, everybody? Hold on a second. Why am I going stupid? So this gap here is 3/16. The next gap is 3/16. So center to center is going to be 3/16 from there to there. So times 2. So 3/16 times 2 equals 0.375. There we go. Holy Jesus Louise. All right. So I don't know where my mind was at there just a minute ago. We're going to go ahead and select new and continue to offset that all the way across. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to leave that gap there. We're going to select that vector again, this middle one. We're going to go outward, same distance. And it can be, whatever spacing. You can go the same spacing on each end, however you choose. And then we're going to offset this vector inward. Whew, man, I don't know why that stressed my brain out, but we're going to offset inward 3/16 of an inch. We're going to take all of these vectors. Let me get rid of these two that don't belong. We're going to select all of this and this. Hold down the shift key, select this inside offset that we just created, and we're going to trim with the trim tool. And we're going to clear inside the boundary, not the inside, you goofball, outside of the boundary. We're going to clear on the outside to get rid of all that excess stuff. And this is going to be the paths that are going to get cut for the grate. And you can change up the pattern however you want. Your grates can go straight up and down. They can go straight across horizontal. In my case, they're going kind of diagonal. That pattern is totally up to you. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd actually like to, right in the middle of this, I'd like to have kind of a little bit of a medallion, and I'm going to center it on the material. I'm going to offset it outward. I'm going to select these, only the vectors that are touching. This one doesn't need to be there. These vectors here that are touching this ring, I'm going to select this ring last, and I'm going to clear inside the vector this time. And then we'll get rid of that. So right here in the middle, it could be whatever. It could be a custom initial. It could be whatever you want it to be. I'm actually just going to put the word bread, right? You know, it could be anything that you desire it to be. So I'm going to go with a royal signage type font. Let me go down to it. Oops. Point. .625. All right, I'm going to hold down the shift key and select this, and I'm going to center it inside that vector. All right, so now the tool paths for the insert are going to be this. So we're going to have these vectors. They're going to be a profile cut. Going all the way through the material with an 1/8 inch end mill, 3/16 inch end mill. Lord have mercy, don't do that to me. 3/16 inch end mill on the line. This is going to be my grill cut. Why couldn't I think of that? That was driving me nuts. And you guys probably in the chat were telling me what to do, but let's see here. Happy New Year, everybody. Okay, grill cut 0.1875 end mill.
Hey, Laney, just a heads up. We're
Yes.
back on the split screen.
We are?
Yeah, I can see JR looks like he's snoozing and
Not sure how we got there, but okay, let's switch back. Thank you for that. Wonder why. Let me see what I can see here.
I just figured you were wanting to stay.
All right. Yeah. So I put JR. I didn't mean to put you to sleep, JR. I'm boring everybody to death, evidently, on the new year. All right. So I don't know how we got back to that, but I'll have to keep looking over my shoulder. And we should be back to normal now. Let me close some of these tabs, and that might help. All right. Okay. I should be able to see that. And someone else had pointed, thank you, Ronnie, for that. And someone else had pointed that out to me. I appreciate that. DC Custom Crafts. All right. So that first cut, what you see here, that'll be kind of that, that grate there. The next cut, we're going to have a profile cut. Just cutting a small amount with, you can use a 90-degree V-bit or 60. I'm going to use a 60-degree V-bit. It'll be the same bit that I use with the text. And actually, that is a lie. I got a new 45-degree V-bit that I really like for small text and stuff. So we'll use that 45-degree V-bit from SpeedTool. Really nice one. No affiliation with them whatsoever, but I like their bits. We're going to cut on the line. Oh, I forgot to name that file. This is my center oval. Profile. 60 or 45 DEG V bit. That 45 degree V bit just cuts just a slight bit deeper. Then the 60, little less angle, a little bit deeper. Give me just a little bit more depth and everything. It does really well. And let's turn the color off. And then bread. Now there's two ways we could go with that. I'll show you option 1 or option 2, but this is going to be a V-carve toolpath, no flat depth on that. Again, with that 45 degree V-bit. Calculate. Hold on, something. Oh, I'm an idiot. I put the toolpath in the wrong window, or remove. It needs to be up here. Oh, where my mind is. This is my text, center text, 45 DEG V bit. We'll calculate that. Looks like I'm back to normal. Good. All right. Preview that. Calculate that toolpath, and then we can preview that cut. Now, on that, on this grade, again, this is just a little insert for the breadcrumbs and everything. So just a very simple little thing. Now, if we wanted to, we could reverse that and select the profile and the text at the same time, so it pockets out everything around so that it's raised a little bit. But that's really up to you which way you want to go. But either one. Let me show you what it looks like the other way as well. If we undo the last, we can come in here and select both of these. We would do a V-carve toolpath. We would definitely set a flat depth, a very shallow cut, a 1/16 of an inch with that 45 degree V-bit. We would come in here with our 1/8 inch end mill. You don't have to. We could let the V-bit do all the work. It's a very small area, but again, if we got the bits and they're already being used in other toolpaths, might as well take advantage of it. Since it's being used, it's not being used in this one, but it's part of our projects tools. This is the raised text. Calculate. And what that would look like is that. And then this could be anything. It doesn't have to be the word bread, right? It could be anything, but it could be a logo. It could be whatever you wanted to say, right? So you could do kind of where it's raised, right? And again, the bread's sitting across this. It's not a big deal that there's this little recess here and all that stuff. It's not going to take away from anything. So you could absolutely do it raised. Just don't go too deep. I mean, a 1/16 of an inch is just fine if you're going to do something like that. So it could be just a simple V-carve, or it could be something kind of raised. Now, if I am, I'm not going to add any paint to this. This is going to be, you know, food safe and all that stuff and everything. So I'm just going to use a kind of a butcher block butcher block oil finish, real close to the grain. It does, you can build it up into, you know, a nice thick layer if you want. But I would opt for the raised text. So that way I don't have to create that contrast and color to really make it pop, you know, readable, because it's going to be a close to the grain, you know, kind of finish. Anyway, food safe finish, right? And most all finishes are food safe if they cure long enough, but we're going to start out of the gate with it. So, and for those of you that are new to finishes and things, when I'm saying the butcher block finish, it is the Waco butcher block finish that you see right here in this can. It's a really nice finish for cutting boards, salad bowls, and all that stuff. So in this case, our bread cutting board and stuff like that. And again, it can be built up into a really thick finish and all, but it's absolutely food safe, and it's a wipe on. It's easy. It's good to go. So Lowe's used to carry it. They probably still do. I don't know. I haven't bought any in a little while because I still have my can. All right, so let's come out of there. Now, the final cutout for this is our profile cut. It's going to be a profile cut, cutting 0.3 inches deep all the way through the material with our 1/4 inch end mill. We could also use the 1/8 inch because it's only 0.3 inch. And we're using the 1/8 inch bit to do that raised text. So minimize our tool changes in this instance and all. The 1/8 inch bit, I have a Speed Tool 1/8 inch bit that has a 1 inch cutting flute. Most have a 1/2 inch to 7/16. You're only going 0.3, so you're fine there. So we could absolutely use that, cutting on the outside of the line. Again, tabs. If I were adding tabs, they would only need to be about 1/16 of an inch thick on this small board. They don't need to be an 1/8 inch like the other one. And again, it would just be 2 tabs on each end. I'm going to turn them off right now for preview purposes only. This is my insert profile cut out 0.125 end mill. Calculate that. Let me see here. Somebody is blowing up. What do we got here? Just want to make sure nobody's sending me text messages that they okay. Thank you for the text message on the split screen. I appreciate that. And all right. Okay. Thank you on the text message for the split screen. I think we resolved that now, so we're good. All right. So this is going to be the insert that sits right down on those 2 ledges and everything. And again, it could really be anything in any pattern, right? It could be just simple grates going straight across. It could be simple grates going up and down. You could change the pattern of the grates where some are going this way and some are going that way to give it a little bit of an artistic look. It would just be a matter of, rotating the lines and everything and just going in a different direction. Whatever you want it to be, that's it. So that takes care of our breadboard and our insert, those two projects, and our toolpath and everything here. I'm going to go ahead and hit File, Save As, Save Early, Save Often, because there is no autosave in this program. And we're going to call this our bread board 15 by 9.5 by 0.75. All right, let's go ahead and hit save. All right, so now let's finish this up by talking about our bread cutter. Okay. Once again, the bread cutter is this little knife and everything. The blades that we're going to be using, and I'll just represent the blade with kind of like a little rectangle. The blades are 0.4 inches thick, or, like wide, if you will. Let's call it wide. And they are 10.8 inches in length. And the holes center to center, let me get let's point. Give me just a second. 0.2. Okay. And the holes are from center to center 10.3 inches. And so I don't know what size the diameter of the holes are. Let's just, we'll pretend that they're 1/8 of an inch in diameter. And again, we're not cutting the blade, so this doesn't need to be exact. But it does play a bit of a role with, our layout of our knife. But we just need to be able to make sure that the blade, spans our two forks. Now, the overall length of this particular saw that I have here, this particular cutter, from long point to long point is 17 inches. And when the blade is attached, this gap in between the back side of the blade and the board, we are right at 1.25 inches. So we could technically, that's when we're slicing, we could go up to 1.25 inches slice thick, Texas roll style bread, right? Slices and things like that, those real thick, nice pieces of rye or whatever. So we got 1.25 inches between the blade and this curve here. Overall width is 2 inches. We can go 2.25 if you want. Again, if you want more room, then this would just extend out a little further, right? So whatever you want. But I like the 1.25 inches, so 2 inches is all we need here. And so if I were to draw this out in a rectangle form, right, we have 17 by 2. Let's drop that on there and let's center that on the board for right now. The don't make where the blade attaches, don't make those areas at the top and bottom, don't make them too small. Give yourself some room. And I'm a little off center on this one. We want to be able to screw right into the center, but give yourself some room so it's, we're cutting bread, but so it's sturdy, right? That kind of thing. And the upper portion is, you're right at 1 3/8 inches. So if I'll use a guideline here. So if we create by the way, guidelines come from the rulers. For those that are new, you put your mouse in the ruler, hold down your left mouse button and drag a guideline out and then snap it where you want it. In this case, I put it at the end of the board. And when I right click on any guideline, it opens up the properties for that guide. And we're going to create a relative guide. Oops. We're going to go back in. A total of 1.375, and it's gonna, since we're going to the left, it's a negative number. Okay, so what am I trying to say? Negative is to the left, positive number is to the right. So we're going to create that, and so that's there. And if I grab a guideline from the top, we'll go from the back here. From the back, we're going to create a parallel guide, a positive number, so just 2 inches, okay, which of course is to here, right? And then imagine, let me grab this blade here, right? Imagine that this blade was, you have to imagine it flat, but imagine it was screwed to there. Right in here, we're going to have the thickness to give us our 1 1/4 inch space. We are just about 5/8 to 9/16. So we'll create a relative guide relative to the guide. Up, positive number, 0.625. Okay. And imagine, if you will, that lower part of the blade, right here. That is only about 1/2 inch to 3/4 wide. Let me see what we did here. So yeah, 3/4. So the top to the bottom, you're looking at 11.5 inches down. So from the top, if I create a relative guide, negative 11.5, that represents the bottom. And if I create a relative guide going positive 3/4 inch, 0.75, that represents that. And the blade would kind of get like screwed center to center like that. And so now from this guideline to the end, that's our handle, right? All of our handle area. And so I'm going to turn off the guides for just, well, let me put a line right here, just a small little line, so I can turn off the guides and get them out of my way. Where this guide is here, think of like an arc, not really, think of like let's do this. I'm going to draw a rectangle right here. This rectangle is going to have radiused corners. I'm going to go a full 1.5 inch radius. Okay. Let's go with a 2 inch radius. 2 inch radius. You'll understand what I'm doing here in just a second. 2 inch radius. And let's turn off the guidelines here. So where this, if I go into node editing, where this ends up here and the guideline that we have here, if I were to draw a line straight down from this point down to the center point of that arc on the front side and on the back side, if I take these scissors, let me get the blade out of there real quick. Move that up here for a minute. If I were to take the scissors and trim this, 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 that, and that kind of creates that that shape here, right? Now, I am this shape is a little bit more finessed right here as far as the size of the diameter of that radius. I went with a 2-inch here. Now imagine, if you will, if that was a rectangle, I could have made it like a 3 or a 4-inch radius to bring that sweep in a little bit more. But what I can do here is I can take node editing and I can just use the right arrow, select this bottom node here, and I can use the right arrow on my keyboard, and I can kind of pull that in if I wanted to. In this case, I don't want to do that. What I do want to do is I can kind of, I can kind of play with this. I can take this here, and then I can bring this up. Figuring out, where I want, what's going to be that good point. Bring this up. I just want that nice sweep. And then I can trim here. And that little hard point that I have right there, when I do the radius, which you'll see right here, the fillet, there's going to be a fillet here, and that fillet is going to be like a 0.3. Bear with me a second. I got to join the corner. For some reason, my vectors were not joined together. Let me join these back together. There we go. All right, one more time. If I put a fillet here and everything, I can add that fillet there, and I can create that kind of that smoothness to where it kind of transitions into that sweep. And again, it really depends on what you want. We can go back to node editing. I can use my right arrow key and I can kind of bring that sweep back a little bit. It just depends on what you want it to be, and how you want to kind of sweep in here. You see this little arc right here? Well, we really only need to go from point A to point B. So if I get rid of this point and I get rid of, let me see if it'll let me. If I get rid of that point, then I can start to create a little bit of that sweep and everything in here. Now, with my fillets, I can kind of start to smooth this out here where these two hard points are. I can kind of, bring that, finesse that a little bit. And let's do the same thing over here. We're going to end up putting a fillet. There's going to be one there, and there'll also be one there. This one on the back is going to be much bigger, so we'll deal with that in just a minute. But here, we're going to go to node editing. I can delete this point to kind of create this. And this, I'm just going to kind of pull that in and then bring this up. I've got a little kink right here, right? So I don't want that kink there. So I can bring this up to create that sweep. And then here at this point, I can come into my fillet tool and just soften that up. Oh, don't do that. I can, come on now. Make sure you have a check mark, not that. But I can soften that up a little bit, and I can go into node editing and kind of finesse that even more if I, if I need to or what have you. Now on the back side has a, we're only at that 1.25 inches, coming through to this 5/8 down here. So there's a big sweep right here. And again, you can make this shape as long as your blade fits. You can make the shape however ergonomically you like it or whatever, right? So, but we're going to put in a fillet, and I'm going to go with a 2-inch radius, which would be a 4-inch diameter. Let me see here. Is it going to let me? I don't know if it'll let me do a 2. It'll let me do a 1.5. And we'll take that out. Now it should let me do a 2. Yeah. Okay. So that 2-inch radius, and we can even sweep it up even more. This whole thing, we got to be mindful now. The blade, is going to kind of be screwed like centered, a little lower than center. So I can take in node editing, I can bring this in. However you want. It doesn't have to be, that much. And then let me put a little bit more. There we go. All right. We can put a little fillet on the end there now. Let's go with a 0.25. Sorry about the uhs. Too much. Let's go 0.125. Oh. There we go. All right, now, so that'll be the cutting area. And again, that's just your common main shape. Now it's just a matter of the handle. And you'll see on the handle, let's see where the camera is here. In this case, remember I said this handle was kind of like a knife handle, right? And it's okay for if I'm like using the blade like this, but I want just a nice clean handle. I want it to be nice even, so no matter what position I'm grabbing this blade in, it's consistent feeling for my hand all the way around. So in here, this is going to slightly, I'm going to kind of, let's see. I'm going to go to node editing. For right now, I'm going to insert a point right there. And I'm going to take right about here and insert a point. I'm going to bring this up. Bring this down. I want, this is where the measure tool, not the measure, create drawing 2-minute, but the little tape measure tool right here. I can measure this span, just this line right here. I can click on it and it'll tell me how long that line is. And it's just, I almost eyeballed that just right. I'm looking for a 1 inch. So I'll take that 1.009. That's fine. But what I want to do with that is on node editing, I want to turn this into an arc. And then I want the handle, like if I were to measure kind of my palm area and everything, like when I'm gripping something or what have you, we are, about 1.25 inches. And even on this handle, like I said, when I'm holding it like this, it's, it's a nice fit. And that, let me see if I can hold it like this, right between my thumb and my finger, right there, between my thumb and my finger, that is 1.25 inches, right? So that's kind of what I'm shooting for. So if I were to take 1.25 inch line, 1 point, we zoom in, right there, just kind of a reference line. The, let me bring it down. I don't want my handle to be any less than that, no matter what I got going on or what I do here. But I'm going to go into node editing, and between, I'm going to say this point and this point, I'm going to turn this into a Bezier curve, so I can start to kind of finesse that handle. I'd like to see it flare out at the end, like it, come down to whatever I decide to do here, my 1.25 inch, kind of start wherever, but I want it to flare up here. So that way, kind of like on the back end, so that way it doesn't, slide out very easy. There's like a, a little bit of a flare on that back side for my hand to catch on. So this will come down, and we'll probably, this will end up over here being a Bezier curve as well too. Depending on what shape I end up with at the end, but I want this to kind of come down, nice, nice handle. And then here, this will be a Bezier curve, Bezier. And I can insert, however many points I need. But if this is, if this line here is going to be my 1.25 inch reference, right? If that's what I'm using it for, I'm going to come down to, what would my lowest point be? It would probably be right here. Now, mind you, my hand is not everybody's hand, right? So just something universal, but my palm all the way across is 3.5 inches from the inside of the web here to the outside of the palm. It's a 3.5 inch span, right? So imagine if I have a 3.5 inch, 3.5 by 1.25. Let's just throw that rectangle there. Imagine that rectangle kind of representing my hand, right? And so wherever it, decides it's going to fall, I want to kind of be able to, have a nice grip there. So in here, when I'm in node editing, I'll probably, from this point to, we'll insert another point right here. We'll probably start to bring this in, something about like this. Pull this arc back a little bit so we have that nice little transition kind of downward, if you will, on that back side. We're going to, on the curve of the handle, kind of just try to maintain that spacing, but I need to come to the bottom of my line here, right? So this whole thing will come to right about there. And the here, this will just transition into that. And so let me get rid of this now. And then we have, you know, just again, I just want just kind of a nice universal handle that it will fit, you know, fill either way. I could probably bring both sides to where they look almost the same, no matter which way I have this thing flipped. And also keep in mind, there's a left hand and a right hand, right? So it's still the same, but it's flipped like 180 degrees, you know, depending on, anyway. So that is, let's, I'm going to call that good. So this blade would actually, the blade would actually come to the left a little bit more. And of course the blade is going to be, again, flat, you know, across it. These are, it lays across the top of those flats there, but you have the general idea. So kind of the hilt, if you will, the hilt will transition into that. This little heart, there's a hard spot right there. I'd like to see that gone. And yeah, I can see there's 2 points there. So let's delete that point. Let's pull this. And this one needs to come. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this point here. And I'm going to turn this into a Bezier curve, so I can, the Bezier curve is going to give me a little bit more flexibility on how I want the curve to shape out. So get rid of that point too. We'll bring this down. Come up and get rid of that point. All right, I need to put one of the, hold on a second, I need to put one of the points back. I do need a point here. And this one can, okay, so I don't need, let me see, do I need that? Let me see. I got to have room in between here for my bread, you know what I mean? My slices. So Okay, coming in here, coming across. Bring this up just a little bit. Oop, grab the wrong thing. Okay, so here on the back side, I'm going to take both of these. Let me just widen this up just a little bit like that. All right, that's going to be the overall shape. That's going to be that. So we get rid of the blade circles. You can finesse that a little bit more if you'd like, but that's going to be in. Let me see how much thickness I have right here. I need to be at least, I need to keep it at least around 5/8. Okay. All right, so that should, let me get rid of that measurement, do it again. Measure. From here to here. Close enough. Okay. All right, so that's going to be my template. Again, bread cutters. So when we're looking at bread cutters and we're looking at the, let's go to images. And there's all kinds of cool things that are not what we're looking for. Let's call bread saw. So when we're looking at these, I mean, there are lots of different handle types. Oh, there we go. And lots of different shapes. I mean, the shapes are pretty much kind of somewhat consistent and everything, but that's a little overkill. Whatever you end up with, you can have different, lots of different handle designs and things like that, and stuff and all. So the kind of a bow saw, there's a nice curve handle here and everything where it's kind of somewhat flat, small little indentation here, comes down, and then there's that curve, like kind of like a handsaw almost. Whatever you whatever you want, right? So you can play around with that. So what we've ended up with is this here. We're going to throw in a circle for a strap if you want to put a leather strap or anything on it. Strap, not strap. And let's get that positioned. Okay. All right. So that's going to be our bread knife. And then, of course, we will end up drilling and drilling pilot hole, for the small screws for the blades, blah, blah, blah. So, but that'll be our cutout. Now, this cutout is just going to be a simple profile cut. It's going to be a profile cut, whether you're cutting all the way through an actual piece of wood, a block that or if you're making a template to, again, glue up some scrap pieces, two-side tape the template to it, take and cut off some excess if you want. You can use if you don't have minimal tools, if you have at least a jigsaw or even a handsaw or whatever, but take it over to a router table with a flush trim bit or a router with a flush trim bit, lots of ways that you can do it to really kind of batch these out. Once you find the shape that you end up liking. I'm actually gonna bring this in a little bit. I'm gonna bring this up really quickly, and I'm gonna turn this into a Bezier curve. Just wanted to make that quick change to, I just want a little bit more of a flow there, kind of a more of a curved flow there on that backbone. All right, so yes, I'm happy, very happy with that. That did it, you know, getting rid of that arc right there and turning it into just a nice little sweep right there. That's what I want. And so profile cut, cutting all the way through the material or template, whatever. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch bit. Cutting on the outside of the line. This is going to be my bread saw profile. 0.25 end mill. Calculate that. And then preview the visible toolpath. Now it knows that there's a circle on the end. It knows that's inside my main profile on the outside. So I didn't have to create 2 cuts, one on the inside, one on the outside. It does that already. And I'm sorry, I went 0.3. It needs to be 0.75. I don't know what I was thinking. 0.3 is my that little insert. 0.75, calculate. But what am I trying to say? The toolpath, that profile cut, cutting on the outside of the line, it knows there's an inside vector on that little circle, so it cuts it on the inside. It reverses it automatically. It does that automatically and everything. So let's get rid of this waste here. And just for kicks and giggles, so you can kind of see what it would look like slightly rounded over. Let's go with a profile cut, cutting a 1/4 inch deep with a 1/8 inch round over bit. On the outside of the line with a step over of -0.125. This is just going to kind of show a little bit of a round over just on one side. Just so you can kind of get that softened up view. Okay. And so that will be our, you know, our saw handle and everything. And so the however you want it to look in whatever shape, again, that's freedom to play with and everything. We're going to hit save on that. This is our let me turn this around. So that's our little bread saw. And yeah, again, you can make a template out of it and just rock them out all day long. Okay, so save on all that. Let's go ahead and switch back over to here and go back to camera here. And let's bring me back up full pattern. Let's minimize that, close that, come back here, and all right, guys. Let's see here. Everybody, join me live. All right. The Rod says, hey there, Ron. Oh, that y'all are talking. Laney, will the breadboard need to be treated for food safety? Yes, Roger S. Yeah. Yeah, because your bread's going to be sitting on it, right? So any cutting boards or anything like that, you could use a beeswax and mineral oil rub on finish. You could use, I like the butcher block finish. I like the butcher block finish just for the simple fact it's a built up finish. Sometimes I kind of like that built up look every once in a while. But there's lots of different food safe finishes. There's also the butcher block oil. And I don't know them all. I'm not, finishing is not my forte, but definitely food safe. Now, again, any finish with long enough cure, it's food safe. When it's gassed out and it's cured fully cured, depending on how long it will ever take. Even a polyurethane could be food safe at the end of after a couple weeks of curing. But let's not make our cutting boards with a polyurethane finish. How about that? But so yes, Roger S. definitely want that. Ron says, I have chess pieces that are about 6 or 7 inches tall. They are CRV files. I have made them as a 2-sided job. I would like to turn them on my 4th axis. Is there a way to convert them to a CRV 3D? Okay, so my question would be, Ron, why would you need to turn them into a CRV 3D? That's just an Aspire file extension. So Vectric, if you have these chess pieces as models, or as your this is the design, right? Doesn't matter if it's a CRV or a CRV 3D, you can still carve it on the 4th axis as a CRV file. It doesn't. A CRV 3D is just an Aspire file extension. CRV stands for V-Carve, like desktop, V-Carve desktop, V-Carve Pro. And CRV is Carve 3D. That's what Aspire does, right? You can build 3D models. So but you don't need to turn your files into a CRV 3D just because you want to cut them on a 4th axis. What you need to do is these are probably already, if they're chess pieces, they're already 360 degrees around. You just need to set them up as a rotary job instead of a two. You probably have them as a 2-sided job, carving on the table. You just need to transfer that change it from a 2-sided job to a rotary job. So it carves out of a spindle, right? But if you want to get with me one-on-one or anything at any point in time to kind of go over that and review that, more than welcome to hit me up. So, all right, boys and girls, what do you think, Ron? Any of that make sense? It's a simple little project, nothing too complex about it, but it's one of those things that doesn't take very long to carve, and it's one of those filler items, two filler items that could really be for people that are selling at crafts fairs and things like that just resonate with shoppers, the housewives, husbands that like to cook in the kitchen, single moms that, want something, doesn't have to be single moms. They can be married moms too, but they just want something nice and they're out shopping at the craft fairs, and anybody, I mean, they're for whatever, don't want to alienate everybody with trying to isolate the only people that would buy this stuff, but hell, I would buy it, so I'm a sucker for a good looking cutting board. Even though I know I could go out and make one, sometimes it's just easier for me to buy somebody else that looks nice. But give them the business. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see here. Kurt says, when you do a cutout profile in thick wood, do you use a downcut or an upcut spiral bit? I use an upcut spiral unless I'm cutting in plywood. If I'm cutting in plywood, I'll be a compression bit because I want that upcut and downcut, or it's a downcut bit. But in hardwoods, upcut, I want to pull those chips out. And with a downcut spiral bit, the bit has a tendency, it's that when it's pushing down, it's pushing those fibers down, but it's actually pushing the fibers down, but it's pushing the bit up at the same time. So it's pushing all those chips and everything down, but that bit is raising. And if you ever really look at, like if you did a pocket cut with a down cut spiral, if you really look at that pocket, you'll see all these raised areas and everything, all these little fuzzies and raised areas and all that you would have to really go back and kind of create a cleanup pass for. And it's because that bit is trying to push itself up versus a upcut bit, which is pulling the fibers up, but it's pulling that bit down into the cut and everything. So if I'm cutting through, I don't want my bit getting pushing itself up. Especially if I have a CNC that doesn't have a very strong gantry and there's some flex or whatever, then I'm causing that deflection. I want a bit that's pulling itself into the cut, not pushing itself out. So upcut spiral bit, Kurt H. All right, everybody. So, any questions, guys? All right. Well, it's 10 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and call this a night. That's our first little project for 2025. Thanks for sticking with me through it. Let's see here. Looking back, I don't think I missed any questions or anything in the chats. Let me look in the private chat real quick. See if you guys had any questions. Okay, good. All right. So until next time, I'll see you soon. Ronnie, JR, stick with me for a minute, but we'll see you all later. And what I'll do is I'll make this file. I'll save it as a DXF SVG and a CRV file, and I'll make it a downloadable file if any of you want it. Go for it. All right, cool. All right, everybody. We'll see you later.